Line of forwards out there for both teams. Brody Lamb against Danny Nelson on the opening faceoff. And it is won back by Notre Dame.
Early in this hockey game, the Irish with a couple of good shifts with forechecks.
Here's a good chance and a save by Kemp on the shot by Tate Pritchard, the freshman.
And that was a tougher save than it looked. Pritchard, kind of a turnover by the Irish along the boards. They get it quickly to Pritchard, NCAA Coach of the Year.
Here's Henry Nelson, has it poked away. Here comes John Middlestat, scored last night. That one gloved by Kemp. Middlestat had the first goal, his first goal of the season, which gave Minnesota the early lead.
Yeah, that was the pass from Javon Moore that we showed in the open. And here, right off the faceoff, this is an excellent, well, not a great play at the blue line by Henry Nelson.
For Lamb. Now Knuble finding some space. Cole Knuble wraps around, and he had a wide open net, but couldn't get all the way around. Nelson has a pass deflected up over the glass.
Well, if Cole Knuble was as tall as his dad Mike, I think he would have scored that. Mike Knuble, good 6'3", and Cole not quite that high size. I said Cam's his son who played at Western Michigan last year. That was a great move. First,
Cal Thomas, one of the other captains for the Gophers. Paul Fisher comes away with it left point, shot through traffic, redirected wide. Sutter Mazzotti comes away with it, puts it in front for Brown. Another shot opportunity. That goes just through the crease. Now Sutter Mazzotti tries to get to it. The Gophers get it out to the neutral zone.
Great second line shift there. The redirection to start with by Cole Brown, as you mentioned, just put it a little bit wide.
Mazzotti in behind. The intermission tonight. Here's a turnover for the Gophers. Jursev with an opportunity, shoots. DePasquo makes the save. Comes loose, and Luke Middlestat comes away with it for the Gophers.
Well, Jovanovic had an opportunity, did a great job finishing his check in the corner, then getting to the front of the net.
Mason Moe taking off the puck. Brennan Ali, up ahead for Bell as that goes into the Gophers bench.
Ended up behind the goal line.
For Niko Jovanovic, that was just his third career goal, second goal of the season, and the assist from Michael Sturmerhorn, his first career point. Here's an opportunity, and Thomas scores. Cal Thomas gives the Gophers the lead with his first goal of the season.
Well, Minnesota, one area they've lacked this year is scoring from defensemen, and they kind of solved that one tonight. Unfortunately for the Fighting Irish, they had control of the puck. They turn it over. That's Brennan Ali, and oh, that's a quick pass. You know, Zemer gets it to Thomas, and you see there wasn't a lot of room up over that glove, but Thomas picked his spot, hit it perfectly. Cal Thomas, he had plenty of room, plenty of space, and yeah, he leaned into that one.
Covered up by DePasquo. Here's Lutke. Omaha transfer, brings it over the line. Up ahead for Jimmy Clark at the goal line, trying to stuff it in front near Kemp, still loose. Kemp looking for the puck. It's still loose. Pull over for Gruba. Now Townsend taking off the puck, back to Whipple. Fires a shot, gloved by Kemp.
Well, Beckett Hendrickson's got pretty good speed, especially to the outside. And watch him, kind of a 3-on-2. He gets around Danny Nelson, and then you know, he avoids contact. He tries to jump up, and he does end up going over Nick Kemp.
Here is Gruba over for Whipple, and that one gloved by Kemp.
He just took a stick to the face inadvertently, the mask. And I think it was an important game for Nick Kemp last night. You know, the weekend before in Madison against Wisconsin, he'd probably be the first to tell you there's 2 or 3 goals he would like to have had back. And last night you couldn't blame any of the goals on him, and you know that one's going well wide. He knows it, but he also realizes there's traffic in front. There's that stick to the mask.
Well, it is the state of hockey. Great place to recruit. And seconds, plays it in behind. Ali there, but that will do it for the first period. And Steve, relatively evenly played. Cal Thomas, though, giving the Gophers the lead.
Yeah, and again, it's puck mismanagement.
And the Golden Gophers. Both teams with their top lines on the ice to start the second period. Minnesota wins the faceoff. Back to back as Knuble will bring it through center. Cole Knuble, high slot shot, just goes wide to the right. Danny Nelson comes away with it. Knuble was skating off. He'll have to stay on now. Back to Henry Nelson right in front, an opportunity, but DePasqua with the save.
Well, DePasqua has to be tested a lot.
Here's Brennan Ali over for Fisher. Oh, DePasqua, what a save post to post.
Great job pushing from his right to his left. You know, you dig in with that right leg, and you got to read the play, and he read it perfectly. And as Ali comes in, he buys some time to Fisher, who's in a...
Domenico flicks it ahead the other way. Now Werner on the right side. Evan Werner wheeling around the net, tries the wraparound. It was loose in the crease. Notre Dame couldn't get a clean look at the rebound. Goes all the way back to Master Domenico.
It's a couple times now, wraparounds. The Irish have had some really good looks.
Javon Moore for Lamb. Had his shot attempt deflected by Jimmy Jursev. Nelson. Now Danny Nelson. Paulson lost his stick. Comes around to Henry Nelson. His shot deflected. Now Slaggert with a shot. Saved DePasqua.
Well, the thing I've been impressed with DePasqua over these last two nights, not a lot of rebounds coming in off of him. And you know, that's
some really good battles over the years between these two teams. Minnesota leads all time 49-30 as Werner with a shot saved by DePasqua. Back for Ludke. Now Middlestat. Paulson back to Middlestat. Over for Lamb. Lamb with a shot. Hits his skate. And now here is Gruba. Over for Middlestat. Notre Dame is looking for a way to touch this up, and finally they do, and will get the penalty.
Job by Cole Knuble. He'd seen enough for the puck possession. He went flying at Luke Middlestat. Shell Casey Middlestat, his other brother John Middlestat, also on this team. Look at between the legs, controls the puck, gets his head up, sees a little bit of daylight just over the shoulder, the right shoulder of Nick Kempf.
Lost control of the puck, taken right back by Zemer. Now Ludke on it again, gets it to Paulson. He wasn't ready for the pass. Now we'll reset things. The left circle gets it down low. Zemer right out in front of the crease, and Kumlin clears it down to the other end.
Hope we get a chance to look at that again. Zemer tried to go between the legs, and it was actually a pretty good move. Great way to protect the puck and get a shot off. Unfortunately, he couldn't pull the trigger.
Ludke lost control. Here comes Mazzotti, shorthanded. Sutter Mazzotti spins it to Knuble. He scores! A shorthanded goal to tie it up.
Wow. What a play by Sutter Mazzotti, who was known as a goal scorer most of this year. And boy, he's turned into a great setup man. See him check his shoulder? He knew exactly where Cole Knuble was going to be. And then throws on the brakes, the spinorama pass right into the wheelhouse. That's a perfectly placed shot, too. He went back against the grain. He gets DePasqua sliding to his right. He shoots back to the right. And
the Gophers angle it off the end board. Sticked there by Kempf.
Look out. I thought it was going to be a too many men on the ice penalty. Sometimes you're in danger of that, especially in the second period. You make that long pass to the front of your bench.
Just under a minute to play in the period now. Moore gets by Jursev. Moore, he scores! Javon Moore, what a series he's had, and he gives the Gophers the lead.
Oh, that's a huge goal. Not only for Javon Moore, but for the Golden Gophers. What a great job winning this board battle, bringing it out from the boards himself. And mentioned in the open, this kid can skate. You know, watch the work there around the defender, takes it to the net, and because of his length, he gets around the netminder pretty quickly. Nick Kempf, not a lot he could do, but those long legs, the long arms, and that's a power move to the net. And Javon Moore, 2 assists last night, the shootout game-winning goal, and a big goal here late in the second period.
Notre Dame disrupts it with Knuble. Cole Knuble fires a shot, just before the horn. And that'll do it for the second period. Notre Dame ties it up shorthanded, but Steve, Javon Moore shines once again. What a series he's had.
He really has, and he's getting high fives from his bench. Yeah, a good game by him, and coming with playing in 2 World Junior Championships over the last couple of years.
Back for Middlestat along the line. With a shot through traffic, saved by Kemp. Loose for a moment, he covers it up.
I'm a big believer in the power play. Just get pucks towards the net. You know, you never know what's going to happen, whether it's a redirection, whether it's a rebound, and Minnesota did get. Yeah.
And I believe he said it was on one of the upper floors of the shopping mall.
Yeah, it was like
above the 20th floor.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think skating towards the slot. Good stick by Harris, takes it away. Ahead for Mason Moe with an opportunity. Oh my goodness, what a hit from Jaden Kerr. Wow.
Well, the fans at Compton Family Ice Arena enjoying the physicality. That was a big
back for Master Domenico. Back ahead for Oliver. Over across Femus, trying to find Master Domenico. It goes off the side of the net. Over to Jursev in the high slot. To Femus in the right circle.
It's a great stick by Alex Begley. I think he stopped the goal there. That pass was intended to a wide open. I believe it was Master Domenico. Begley gets the stick in the way.
Jursev to Matt. Back to Fisher. Down to Werner, left circle. Across for Knubel. To Fisher once again. Now Knubel towards the slot, gloved by DePasquo.
Well, I like the shot selection. Unfortunately, there was nobody in front of Luca DePasquo, and he's going to stop that 90% of the time. You know, passing around the perimeter, you take it to the net.
Couldn't handle it in the slot, goes down towards the far side, where he takes a bump from Whipple. Puck gets deflected up high. Werner tried to bat it out of the air. It comes to Knubel, who now has it with a backhand. 25 seconds left on the power play. Fisher, one-timer, Nelson, and it goes off the side of the net. The entire student section thought Notre Dame had scored, and now DePasquo able to freeze the puck. I think it got caught in the net on the side. We'll take another look.
Yeah, it got caught in the mesh on the outside, and it certainly looked like the net bulged, and people assumed it was inside the post. It was outside the post, outside the post.
Master Domenico, one-timer, snagged by DePasquo.
All smiles from Luca DePasquo, and it's funny. He seems to have the number of the Irish. You know, we mentioned coming into the series, he'd stopped 52 of 53 shots fired his way in Minnesota. He's been pretty darn good here in South Bend.
Here's Master Domenico. Back for Kumlin. Another one-timer for Brown. He scores! Notre Dame finally strikes on the power play. We're even at 2.
Well, Cole Brown's had a number of really good looks in tonight's game, and this is a great setup. The one-timer, watch Axel Kumlin. Brown starts with it. He dishes it off. Kumlin gets it back, and Cole Brown, and take a look at DePasquo. It gets between his legs. Is he a little slow getting across? No, not really. Just wasn't able to shut the wickets, close the doors, and Cole Brown ties the game.
6th goal of the season
in that tournament, and some bad breaks too.
Middlestat redirected just wide. Hendrickson was right there on the doorstep, got his stick on it. Taken away by Pritchard. Pritchard, he tried to find Paulson there. Paulson with just over a minute to play. Through center. Paulson in on Kemp, and Nicholas Kemp makes the save with
discussing something. Another key draw deep in Notre Dame's zone.
Under a minute to play. We had a shootout last night. We could be going to extra time again tonight. Danny Nelson in the slot. He scores! The kid from Maple Grove, Minnesota, gives the Irish the lead with under a minute to play.
Well, Cole Knuebel's going to get an assist on this play. Danny Nelson using his big frame, 6'3", 220 pounds. And watch from the faceoff, deep in their own zone, a clean win by Nelson, and they get going the other way. And the interchange here, Cole Knuebel drives down the middle, and Nelson just brings it to the middle of the ice. Through a maze of skates, not sure whether DePasco saw it or not. We'll see from this angle. Yeah, there was just...
With 20 seconds left. Gruba to Middlestat. Above the left circle with a shot. Kumlin blocked it. Another opportunity. Comes loose in the slot. Here's Ziemer. 10 seconds left. It's blocked by Nelson. Goes up high over the glass. 8.5 left. Brody Lamb wins it. Back to Gruba. Ziemer with a shot that's blocked by Knuebel. Another opportunity goes down to the corner with 2 seconds and 1. And Notre Dame tops Minnesota 3-2. Danny Nelson, the game-winning goal in the final minute for the Irish.
And a key block by Cole Knuebel right at the very end, sacrificing his body, diving, blocking a shot. He had scored a shorthanded goal earlier in this hockey game. A gutsy effort from the Irish, who dropped game number 1 in a shootout, and they win game 2 in regulation.
So Notre Dame